All right. Welcome, everyone, to Chef AJ and Friends. This is a very special episode. This is a Thanksgiving cook along. And joining me is one of my favorite people on the planet. Her name is Susanna. You've seen her on the show before, and she is a mom of 8. And she's already had her Thanksgiving. She lives in Canada, but she offered to come along and cook with me because it's no fun cooking yourself. Let's face it. She's going to be making the exact same menu I'm making, which is what I am serving to 30 guests tomorrow at Thanksgiving dinner. I believe in doing your preparation and cooking in advance. Otherwise, you don't have time to enjoy the holiday or your guests. You can get a beautiful PDF with color photos of the recipes. The link is right below in the show notes. The show notes are only visible on YouTube, but if you click the little thing that says more, you just click that and you will get a beautiful PDF. So please welcome my cooking partner in crime today, all the way from Canada, Susanna. Hello,
Hi,
Susanna. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. My family's so excited to have this meal tonight, even though it's not Thanksgiving. It's really special.
Well, it'll be a lot of fun. And I'm curious, have you ever made any of these recipes before? Because I think we're doing 8 or 9 recipes.
I've made a couple of them. I've made the caramel nut tort and I've made the holiday loaf before, and I think that's it actually. So the other ones are new to me as well.
Great. Well, I'm excited to have you and your family try them and give me your honest review. And if any of you need coaching to get through this difficult holiday period without having a snacks event, Susanna is one of our success coaches in the Reboot program, and she is amazing. And if there's time, we'll give you some tips and tricks to navigate these holidays without having what I call a snacks event. Because we'll be cooking, we unfortunately won't be able to see the chat, but we'll do our best after the cooking to come back and look if there's any questions. If anybody is cooking along with us, you had a chance to sign up for that if you're on my mailing list. But without further ado, I am going to spotlight Susanna, and then I am going to join her in the kitchen in just a moment. I just have a few things to click, add spotlight, get rid of myself here.
I'm gonna move my camera to the
Okay.
kitchen.
Well, what are you gonna make first, Susanna? What are you gonna make first? Where she went.
Oh, I'm just coming around.
Okay, well, I'm going to make the holiday loaf first. And
Yep.
so what I'm going to do is because I have, people are just, do you ever have this problem in your life, Susanna, where you're having a party and people like kind of half-heartedly RSVP so that you really never know how many people are coming?
It's true.
That's my problem tomorrow using Evite, because even though people RSVP'd, even though they're bringing a bunch of people, they RSVP'd for one. So I have no idea how many.
Yeah. Well, I have 6 people here for dinner tonight, so we'll have some leftovers, but that is fine by me.
I know I love leftovers. I actually like leftovers better than the original. Things seem to taste better. I had a dinner party on Sunday night because at the Plantrition Project, which is a wonderful conference every year that I've had the privilege of speaking with, I always donate virtual prizes, and people can bid on the opportunity to have dinner at my home with 6 people.
Oh, fun.
These 2 lovely doctors came with their family. We had a wonderful dinner. I made my enchilada strata with cashew sour cream, one of my favorite meals, and it was very good. But then we ate it again last night, 2 days later. It was like better. So that's why I really like making things in advance, not just for the convenience, because I think they taste better. And so are you going to make yours into a loaf, or are you going to use the muffin?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna use a loaf pan. I have a silicone muffin loaf pan. And
Perfect.
but what I like about this one, I don't know. Let's see. I can't see the brand. Doesn't have a name, but it's like got a frame on the top, so it doesn't kind of collapse when I put stuff in it. So I like
That's
that.
that's my favorite thing to do too. So Suzanne and I are really going to be cooking in real time. However, we did what's called mise en place. And guys, you don't have to go to culinary school to learn this. They teach you this on the first day. But whether you batch cook, healthy food or unhealthy food, it really is very important to have everything set up. So I have everything measured and out. And so I don't have to be running to the refrigerator and the pantry, with one exception, one recipe, the cranberry spritzer. I'm keeping the beverage part cold. But other than that, everything is measured out so that we don't have to do that. Now, we did do a few things in advance because we want to get you out of here in an hour, hour and a half, depending on how long it takes us. So we did cook our sweet potatoes in advance because, large sweet potatoes could take 90 minutes to cook. So we did that in advance. And I've got mine right here in the bowl. And I also cook my rice in advance, but quite honestly, usually I just use the microwavable rice that microwaves in 3 minutes. And if you don't want to use this organic basmati, which is white rice, please feel free to use brown rice. And I did cook my broccoli in advance. And Susanna, I'm using frozen broccoli, and I'll tell you why, because it's cheaper. And since if I'm going to eat broccoli, which I do almost every day for lunch, I want the best. I get this organic broccoli that I love at Trader Joe's. But for this, it was just so much cheaper just to get the organic frozen and cook it. I cooked my broccoli in this little Pampered Chef microwave steamer, and I cook it extra soft because I'm going to be smushing it. If I'm eating it, I want a little bit more al dente. So I'm just using a potato masher. And Susanna, I can just talk and talk. So please always feel free to comment or say something. But I have my sweet potatoes. I always recommend you peel them while they're still warm because it's easier to get the flesh off. Otherwise, it's like a Band-Aid and it sticks. And then I'm just going to add the rest of my ingredients. So I'm going to add my Charles, if you wouldn't mind flipping the camera down a little so they can see me smushing. You don't have to hold it. You can just smush it down. So I've got it's incredible. That's a pound of broccoli. When people like say, well, how can I eat a pound of vegetables? It didn't look like very many vegetables to me. It looked like about 2 cups. So you're using your salad chopping bowl for mixing.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say about broccoli is, I was a slow adopter of using frozen stuff because you've always said that you keep something frozen and I don't know, I think I felt like I was picky, like, no, I really prefer it to be fresh. And then I would run into the situation where I didn't have food in the house, like had run out of fresh. And so that's what I like about this is having frozen broccoli, frozen cauliflower. I keep riced cauliflower in the freezer. I keep frozen Brussels sprouts now because then, you're 5 minutes from a meal. And on those nights where things kind of go crazy, you get home late or, there was a car accident or whatever. I just find it so much easier to have some frozen things. It's really helped me a lot.
And they're every bit as nutritious as fresh. They're picked at their peak of ripeness, flash frozen. I will say when you use frozen broccoli, though, you're getting the stems. And the stems tend to be tougher than the florets, which is what I use. So that is fine. It's just that it's going to require a bit more smashing and smushing and maybe even a longer cooking time. But I don't mind having pieces of broccoli in my holiday loaf. This is basically a variation of one of my most popular and favorite recipes, the smoky sweet potato burgers, but instead of doing smoked paprika and chipotle, I'm doing poultry seasoning to give it that holiday flavor. And I love the poultry seasoning from local spicery, not because it's just some of the freshest and best spices, but because I have a black pepper allergy. And black pepper is a very common ingredient in poultry seasoning. And Nick Devorin of Local Spicery will custom make a spice for me. And he probably would do it for you too. So I've got that smushed in. And then I'm going to add my scallions. I try to use mostly the green part of the green onion. And then my rice. I
decided to put on food service gloves and smush it with my hands.
Yeah, I might end up doing that as well if this doesn't smush good. And what I love about using the microwavable rice is it tends to be a little bit like stickier, and that's what I like in here rather than a dry rice like this is because I cooked it yesterday, but I think it's going to work. And then I have my gluten-free rolled oats and my spices, which are onion powder, garlic powder, and poultry seasoning. And again, if you click the link below the YouTube video, we'll send you a beautiful PDF of all these recipes. And there's still time to make them for tomorrow. So I'm mixing these up till it's all mixed together. And one nice thing about doing it in this little muffin pan is because since I don't know how many people are coming tomorrow, I want to make sure there's enough for everyone. And if I do it in a big pan like I did last year, some people take little pieces, some might take big pieces. This way it's fair to everybody's going to get the same size. And it looks really cute because this is a frosted holiday loaf. We're going to frost it with mashed potatoes. And it's just going to be very cute, but we're going to bake them, whether in a loaf pan or a muffin pan first, and then we're going to frost them with the mashed potatoes. And both Susanna and I did cook the mashed potatoes in advance, just because we just wanted to make sure they were nice and firm. And I'm using the boxed mashed potatoes from Whole Foods. I tend to want things to be easy and quick, especially when I'm having this many people. So it looks like I'm not going to need the food service gloves because this is smushing together very nicely. And I just love this loaf because it has all the flavors of the holiday, but it's also has some things in it that aren't in a traditional loaf that certain guests that are coming tomorrow can't have. So we have a few people tomorrow that cannot eat legumes, meaning beans, peas, and lentils. So there's no legumes in here because usually in any kind of a faux burger or a loaf, there's either lentil or beans. And this one is also nut free because we have a nut allergy. So this will be very good for that person. And now we're going to just smash that like this. And I'm going to just take a scoop because it's just easier and put it in the silicone muffin pan. I like this muffin pan for the same reason Susanna likes her loaf pan because it has edges on the side, so it's easier. I did buy cheaper ones first on Amazon, but they were so flimsy, they were hard to transfer to the oven. So now I want to just try to get each thing filled. And I hope this may make more than 12, which might be a good thing. But I then would need to cook these later because I need my other muffin pan to make the muffins.
I'm
Last year,
just about to pop mine in the oven, and that's what it looks like.
oh my gosh, you are so fast, Susanna. You're beating me, girl. You're beating me. That's because I talk too much. But what I was going to say is it is probably faster to just do it in a loaf pan than to measure each one out. So that's what Susanna did.
Yes,
And
but yours will cook faster than
yes,
mine.
that's what I was going to say. So in a
Mhm.
loaf pan, it's going to take about 75 minutes to cook.
Yeah.
In a muffin pan, it's going to take about 45. But then we're going to frost it and it needs about another 15 minutes. Now, since you're eating yours tonight, you'll probably cook it all the way through. What I'm going to do when these come out is I'm going to frost them and put them in the refrigerator and just because I don't want it too overcooked tomorrow. So yeah, this looks like it's going, this is actually good that it's going to make more than 12. Because then I'll have more, but I kind of want each one to be about the same size. So with my clean hands, I'll just kind of press it down. And it smells really good, actually. So in case you didn't notice, Susanna, do you have Walmart in Canada?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if every Walmart is different, but my Walmart not only carries the I Love Date Lady date syrup that we're going to use in one of the recipes, but they carry frozen cubed sweet potatoes. And so when you don't have time to cook your sweet potatoes, I have used those in this recipe. You just want to make sure you do at least microwave them so that they're easy to smush. Have you ever noticed if you had sweet potatoes in Canada that were frozen?
I've seen frozen butternut squash,
Yeah.
but I can't say for certain that I've seen frozen sweet potatoes, but I'm one of the lucky few that live near the border. And so I go down to Trader Joe's and they do have frozen sweet potato there. These I just cooked though from scratch, like the full size sweet potatoes. I did those yesterday in my air fryer oven for about an hour and 20 minutes at 425. I just cut off both ends. And
do you have dual citizenship?
no, no.
Shop in the United States?
Yeah, no, but we have there's a program called Nexus, and I think it's $50 for 5 years, and they have like a special lane at the border. So we pass, like on a busy weekend, we'll pass like hundreds of cars just and drive right up to the front. So we don't have to wait. So it's actually quite quick. Yeah.
Okay, so mine is going in the oven, which I did not preheat. And truthfully, I'm just going to use my Breville the smart oven, which is an air fryer, just to cook these. So I'm going to put these in. All right. And now the next recipe I'm going to make, and I think Susanna is too, are the cranberry orange muffins. Last year I made the corn muffins, the sweet cornbread muffin, and that has been, my friend Sarah asked me to make them again this year, and I might, if I have time, to make those as well.
Those are really good. I love those.
Really good, especially for a holiday. Now, I said to make this in the food processor, but I need to keep my food processor dry for the caramel nut tort. So I'm just going to make this in in a bowl, and it's going to work just fine. So when you eat sweet potatoes, Susanna, do you like the orange ones? Because I only like the orange ones in recipes, but not in my mouth as a potato. Charles, lower. You don't have to.
Yeah,
touch.
like I like them as a like like that what do you call it? Butterscotch pudding. I like that.
Yes. Yes, I love
Um,
that. So
sometimes I cube them and eat them that way with some seasoning on them. But um, yeah, I wouldn't say I eat any sweet potatoes just plain. But you like the yellow ones, right?
yes, I love the white ones, the
Mhm.
hand yams.
Mhm.
So it's very easy to find organic pumpkin even in my local market. The best price I've seen is Costco, which sells a 6 or 8 pack. I haven't had time to get there yet. So I have my canned pumpkin right here. And then I'm going to add the rest of my ingredients. Sometimes have to walk over to the other counter to get everything. So I've got my date paste, and you'll see how to make the date paste later on in the caramel tort. I always have some on hand in my refrigerator, if not also in my freezer. So not that much. A half a cup is like it's like 2 teaspoons per muffin to date. And so we're going to use some banana. I like my bananas when I'm using them in baking to be very ripe. And I do freeze bananas. However, when I'm doing a baked recipe, the frozen bananas, when you defrost them, they can give up a lot of liquid. And you don't want to get rid of that liquid because that's where a lot of the sweetness is. So when you do use a banana that's been frozen, you sometimes have to adjust the dry and put a little bit more in. And there's not an exact number, it depends how liquidy your banana is. So that's why I'm using one that is fresh. And then I have just a tiny bit of orange juice. And I used bottled organic, but if I was using fresh, I would use the zest. We will be using orange zest in the cranberry relish. So there's no reason you can't do this by hand. It's just easier, of course, in a food processor, but because I need it nice and dry to make my caramel nut tort crust, I didn't want to take a chance of having to wash it and dry it. So I'm just using a little bit of elbow grease. Normally, Charles, when he's not on camera, would be doing the smushing for me. But I want you guys to know it's not that hard to make healthy and delicious food for a holiday or any time, as long as you have prepared in advance. And for some reason you don't like pumpkin, you could use sweet potato instead here as well. Pumpkin is a little bit less sweet. But I love just to have the canned organic pumpkin on hand for lots of recipes. The food processor would get every little piece of the banana mushed up, but so would elbow grease. So these cranberry orange muffins kind of remind me of cranberry orange bread that my mom used to make. But realize that most cranberries you buy in the store or even online, there's a brand called Craisins, have a lot of sugar in them. If you do eat sugar, that's fine, get that brand. But you can buy cranberries without sugar. Generally, I don't see these in most stores. I see them online, and there's 2 kinds. You can get online unsweetened dried cranberries that are nothing but cranberries. These are extremely tart. Me and Charles, because we don't have as much of a sweet tooth anymore, really like this in this recipe. And these are actually very expensive. It seems like when they take something out like sugar, it's more expensive. However, because we're cooking for regular people tomorrow, we don't even know if everybody's plant-based or if they eat sugar, you can get the fruit juice sweetened ones, generally sweetened with apple juice. Now, people say, oh, but it has oil. Well, yes, a minimal amount to keep them from sticking, but it's so minimal that it doesn't even register on the nutritional label of having it. So choice is yours. So this is about, oh, could you, would you mind putting it down so they could see? There's still a few little banana bumps in there. It is what it is. I'm going to go with it. And then I have my gluten-free rolled oats, my cinnamon, and my pure vanilla bean powder. And of course, my cranberries. That little beep tells you the Breville is ready. And now I'm just going to mix it up all together while trying to keep my counter clean. Just in case you're interested, my, I'm going to show you the poultry seasoning from local spicery, but I picked the wrong one. Have you tried the salacious, Susanna? That's my favorite.
I have, yes. I was able, he doesn't ship to Canada yet. I keep trying to convince Nick to ship to Canada, but I was able to get some when I came down for your conference. So I got that, and I got I think it was the bacon or pepperoni or something. Yeah. So
Can he ship to your US post box?
No, he won't take telephone orders either. I tried that route too. He won't, like, he said that once he took somebody's credit card over the phone, and then 3 weeks later saw it on sitting on his computer screen that he hadn't deleted, and he felt so bad that he just doesn't want to take people's orders over the phone either.
I'm going to find a way to get you what you need. So where is my other? Here it is. I wish I had gotten more of these. These weren't very expensive. They were about $14 because I really do need more to continue my cooking, because everything you see me do is really only 1/3 of what I have to do for tomorrow, because I have to make triple or at least double of every recipe. So once again, I'm going to put this in the muffin pan.
AJ, this is a really good tip to use a ice cream scoop for muffins. I hadn't used this before.
Oh yeah, it's just you get them around the same size. You could just use like a half a cup measure too, but I like the fact that it's
it just
retractable.
slips. Yeah, it just slips right out. It's really nice.
Absolutely. And I have these in just about every size, from like about I think a half a tablespoon to 4 tablespoons, and they're not very expensive online or in like restaurant supply type.
So because this recipe won't be rising a whole lot, is it okay to fill these muffin cups up quite full?
They won't be rising at all because there's no baking powder and baking soda in them.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, why would you do that? Well, you remember for like 8 years, I worked at the True North Health Center, and no salt was allowed whatsoever. And yes, you can get baking powder and baking soda without salt. It's harder to find. It's more expensive. And frankly, it doesn't really work as well. So, these are not like your light, fluffy croissant. These are hardy to some, dense muffins, but they are very, very delicious.
The batter smells delicious.
And here's the thing, I don't make holiday food only at the holidays. I've made these, in the summer, because pumpkin's available all year round, and dried cranberries certainly are as well.
I was able to get fruit juice sweetened cranberries up here.
Nice. That is fantastic.
Okay. More and more things all the time, like in the 3 or 4 years that I've been eating this way now, like Well Your World ships to Canada. They just started this month.
Nice.
And California balsamic ships to Canada now. So that's awesome.
That is wonderful. So Susanna, I'm not serving my dinner until tomorrow. So when it comes to like plating, you might actually have to be the one, that shows the finished product, because I'm not going to fully cook the loaf with the thing. So, okay, there we go. And it's so funny because Thanksgiving, it's like, it's the saddest day of the year for the turkeys, because more turkeys are slaughtered. But Thanksgiving isn't really about turkey, because it's all the sides are naturally vegan, when you think about it, or certainly can be, like gravy and cranberry sauce and, mashed potatoes and sweet potatoes. And it's like, and all the beautiful colored food. The only thing that's missing from this menu, and I sure am hoping that somebody that's coming tomorrow to our place, because people are also going to be bringing food, is a green vegetable. I just have enough room. Last year I did, roasted Brussels sprouts, and I'll see if I can do that. I just don't have enough room. I only have one refrigerator and one freezer. And so, but that is something that is,
I guess there's the broccoli in the loaf.
Yes. And so I'm just going to swap it to try to get them even. And, it's funny because last year people brought salad, and normally salad gets eaten, but literally like nobody was interested in eating salad last year. So this is going to go in my regular oven, which again, I did not preheat and probably should have. Guessing is 350. All righty.
I was so hesitant to get the Breville air fryer, and I had a cheaper knockoff first, but I love that it fits like a regular size 12 muffin. Like it fits everything, and even my kids that don't eat the same way, they'll use it for their things too. It's so handy.
Well, anybody that's wanting the Breville, not tomorrow, 2 days from now is Black Friday, and I already see a lot of the specials. So, for example, the Breville Sous Chef, which we're going to be using as the food processor, which is normally $5.49, is already on special for $2.99. So this might be the time to get the Breville, and it's really worth it. So next is well, actually there is going to be a vegetable. So what am I saying? The pizza kale. This is a delicious recipe. And Charles, what I'll do is I'll bring this here, and then you won't have, and then just when I plug it in, you can show. So that way you won't have to move. So I love this recipe, and I'm using my baby Instant Pot, the 3-quart for this, because I'm actually going to make a half a recipe because we're just going to have this for our dinner tonight. So I have my water in the pot already. Okay. I just realized I made a little boo-boo, so I'm gonna have to correct it. If you wouldn't mind putting that back up, because I made a boo-boo. I forgot, Susanna, I forgot the topping for my muffin. So I'm gonna do that right now.
Oh, so did I.
Yeah. So it would be fine if we didn't do this. But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna make a little sprinkle for the muffin tops. So what we're gonna do is just take a small amount of walnuts. This is my little Pampered Chef chopping tool. I used to be a Pampered Chef consultant back in the day, and I was terrible at selling, but I was great at demonstrating the recipes. So I'm just gonna make this into like a very fine powder. Just gonna sprinkle these on top, and I still have time to grab them from the the oven, because the oven is not preheated yet. So just gonna get these back out.
I think that's funny that we both forgot it. Mine was sitting right here too.
I know, I do forget stuff. And the worst is when you forget like an entire thing, like I'm baking a cake and for example, the German chocolate cake. And then I'm thinking to myself, boy, this didn't fill up the pan. And then I start cooking it and then I see, oh, there's a cup of applesauce on the counter. So I've made like it into crumbs. It's just going to be sprinkled on top. And then I'm going to add my cinnamon. And I do love the Saigon cassia from Local Spicery because it's just, I mean, it tastes like sugar and there's no sugar in it.
I've never tried it.
It's amazing. I'm gonna find a way. Nick's my friend and he lives near me. Even if I have to buy it and then, why can't I buy it and just ship it to you? So I made these little crumbs, kind of like the streusel crumbs, if any of you ever have taken some classes with me, especially my dessert master class, as I use the streusel crumbs for everything. These are not exactly like them, but it's kind of the same idea where we're just gonna sprinkle this on top of each one. And again, you don't have to do this because I actually forgot. It would have been fine. When we get to the chat, we'd love to know what everybody is making for their holiday tomorrow. Hey, why don't you come, Susanna? I bet you could get a same-day flight.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
I would love to.
Can you just take a red eye tonight?
Oh, I would love to.
When do you celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving? When do you do that?
It's whatever weekend is around the 9th, 10th, 11th of October. That's when.
And what does that celebrate? Like, what is the meaning of Canadian Thanksgiving?
It's the same. I think it's the same as what you guys do, just being together and family and friends. And
but is there like a story of the Pilgrims and things like
that? Oh yeah, I mean when we were kids, that all was the same.
Nice.
Yeah.
So there.
So I found I'm not sure if other Canadians have found this, but you can it's called Taylor Farms, which is in California. But you can get these giant bags of pre-chopped kale up here in Canada, which that's
what I got too. That's what I'm using, organic from Trader Joe's.
Yeah. So I love that because, when you hear, it's hard when we hear about things, convenient things that you guys have down there and we can't get them. So
I'm going to just pop these in the oven. And, a lot of times I might even have this little choppy thing already ready. So I didn't have to make it, but I do want to show how to do some things here. Okay, my oven's still preheating, and then I'll ask Alexa to to set a timer. So I do love using things already chopped and washed, and it's just, I just don't have the time to make healthy meals if I had to do all this myself. and they don't put the stems in. So this is great. This comes in this green kale, but also comes in Tuscan. So I'd go back and forth. And I'm doing it in the tiny food processor, and I'm doing a recipe if you're following along on your PDF. Well, this is supposed to fit. I'll make it fit. I don't care. Because it's going to cook down a lot. And this, even though I can easily eat a pound of Brussels sprouts or broccoli, eating even 10 ounces of kale is a lot for me. So my husband and I will share this with our dinner tonight. So I'm just going to press it down. There's water on the bottom. You always want to have some water. And then I have my artichoke hearts, which go on top.
That is something I have not been able to find in Canada, is frozen artichoke hearts.
Yeah.
No, we can only get like the oil packed ones in a jar unless somebody in the chat has been able to find them. I've tried so many places, but I do pick these up when I'm down in the States, the ones at Trader Joe's.
Right. And so, but you don't ever be able to find them in can though without oil, because sometimes there's canned. I've got sun-dried tomatoes with no oil in them.
No, I have not seen them canned either.
Okay. And this is going to have some Kalamata olives, so it's going to taste like pizza, but I'm going to add the olives after it's cooked. And I do like to save time just using this garlic in the jar, which basically is just garlic. And sometimes they have oil and stuff, but this doesn't. And I really found out about these during the pandemic. And then you can control how much you want, a little or a lot. And this also comes in roasted garlic. And it's so easy to make this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the top on. And then I'm going to just plug it in over here. So this will be like the only time you probably have to move the camera. And let's see how many minutes on the pressure cooker. Not very many. Okay. Oh, wow. 0 minutes. That's going to be fast. Are you able to get a shot over there? Just right here. So 0 minutes really is a thing. You cook corn at 0 minutes too. I press pressure cook and I just put it down to 0 because I don't want my greens all gray and yucky. So this will be ready in no time. All right, 3 down and 5 to go. Suzanne, I'm going to wait for a little bit to do the cranberry spritzer because we want to drink that fresh, and I'm still full for lunch. We had a potluck, one of the groups I'm involved with today in Roseville. We had our annual holiday potluck. And these aren't people that are vegan, and I brought 3 things and they love them all. Ooh, now we're going to have to skip over to the caramel tort so that my food processor can be nice and clean for the nut part. I'm using the 16-cup Breville. My sister told me that Costco has the 14-cup Cuisinart on sale now for $149. So that's actually a really good price. And I might get that because sometimes my food processor just gets overheated because I do a lot of demonstrations. All right, so here. Okay, so let me bring my ingredients. Good thing I have a lot of counter space to bring ingredients over.
I used my Breville yesterday to peel the potatoes for the first time. Was that ever handy?
You've got to come and visit me because, Kathy Hester showed me on a video how to use everything, including the salsa thing, and I forgot. I'm going to be doing a caramel nut tort in a silicone ringed cheesecake pan with a glass bottom, but these come in metal. And if you don't want to have to clean it, you could use parchment paper, but I kind of don't like to use parchment paper because I'm thinking about the environment. This is really cool because you lift the ring out, you just take it out, and you can use other size pans. If you have my book, Sweet Indulgence, you'll know we did it kind of in a vertical pan. So it will all work. So this was an offshoot of the world's healthiest pecan pie one year when I was doing a cooking class for UC Davis Medical School, and for whatever reason didn't have pecans, and I had almonds, cashews, and walnuts, and I made a variation, and people seem to like it as much, if not more. So I'm going to take my raw unsalted walnut. Walnuts are so noisy in a food processor. I always think it's going to break the side. So sometimes I actually just buy almond flour or just almond meal at Trader Joe's, and that way I don't have to hear this loud noise, which hopefully Zoom will mute. The Breville's really, really powerful, so you don't want to keep going because you would turn it into a nut butter, but you do want it so that there aren't like big chunks there. All right, that is nice and smooth, just kind of like breadcrumbs. And now I'm going to add my dates, which I hope are pitted because sometimes I don't take the time to cut them in half, which you really should do as I say, not as I do. The dates that I like to use are the organic ones from Costco because they end up being about $2.29 a pound. Any dates will work. I feel though, if you're not eating them as a date, why pay for the medjool, which are about 4 times as expensive? So I do tend to use that more and more, unless it's in the date shake. And so now I'm gonna let the food processor run till either it starts to slow down or a ball starts to form, and this will be my crust. And when it does that, you know that I have gotten a pit. And again, if there's a certain nut you can't have or don't like, then please feel free to substitute. And yes, the blade will always find the pit. So you gotta go back here and start again. It's always a good idea at some point to stop it. I like to reach my hand in, squeeze it together, and I can see it's still too crumbly. A ball hasn't formed yet. So I'm going to let it run a little bit longer. And if a ball for whatever reason didn't form, I know that that means that my dates were dry and I need to add more. But sometimes just running it like 20 more seconds will be the trick. Do the trick. And basically, I've just made like a Larabar here or a truffle, you know, just add a little vanilla powder to this and you've got the cinnamon vanilla bliss balls. These are fantastic. And now I'm going to just pour it into my cheesecake pan. I'm not going to clean it in between. I'm just going from nut to nut. It's amazing how different nuts taste. I mean, pecans and walnuts don't taste anything alike, nor do cashews or almond, but this is just like such a yummy recipe. People seem to really like it. Very easy to make a crust. I remember home economics in 1971 where we had to make our pie crust out of flour and like you did something with ice cubes and I think it had either shortening or oil and it was just so hard to make and so unhealthy. You know, in less than 5 minutes, you can have a healthy crust with multiple uses. So now I'm going to take my cashews. Well, actually, before I even do that, I'm just going to take the walnuts that are going to go on top and just give them a rough pulse. And again, a lot of these things I'm showing you, I could have done in advance. And a lot of times when I'm doing cooking classes or demonstration, I do, but I'm trying to really do this in real time to show you it doesn't take that long to make a lot of healthy, delicious recipes. So I'm just going to pulse. And this is going to be reserved for the topping. Now I'm going to take my cashews, which are the filling, and I am going to make these into a fine breadcrumb consistency. You could go into a cashew butter if you want, but it's going to take a lot longer, and there's really no need because it will be fine if you just do it into fine crumbs. You could use cashew butter, but it's going to be way more expensive than using cashews. And I buy most of my nuts at Costco or Sam's Club organic. That beep means my oven's preheated, so I need to set a little bit of a timer for those muffins. Alexa, set an alarm for 40 minutes.
40-minute alarm set at 3:21 p.m.
Okay, so now I'm going to make this go into crumbs. There we go. And because cashew is a much softer nut than pecan or walnut or almond, it just basically goes to these crumbs quickly. And it would go to a cashew butter if I let it run. But what I need to do now is just take this out for now and make my date paste. You can see the reason I did it this way is because if I were to make my date paste first or use this for the muffins, it's going to make my food processor wet. The blade's going to be wet. And even if I were to wash it, what's going to happen is it's just not going to get completely dry. You could use a blow dryer. My sous chef Rebecca Martinez gave us that idea, but I just find it's just easier to do things in an order that you don't really have to do a lot of washing in between. So put this to the side. There's a great recipe in the PDF for a very easy way to make date paste using your Instant Pot. That's how I make it, but I'll just show you the old-fashioned way in case you don't have a pressure cooker. And so what I've done is I've taken my dates and I've soaked them. I needed them to get soft quickly, so I used boiling water. You never want to throw out the soak water to dates. Yes, you want to throw out the soak water to things like grains and beans and nuts and seeds, but now all the sugar in the date is here, so you need that water. So we're just going to place it in the food processor fitted with the S blade, and we're just going to puree into a paste. That took all of 15 seconds. And the reason I know that is because the Breville sous chef has a little timer. Now, I keep date paste in the refrigerator for months, and I have never seen it gone bad. I have only heard of it going bad when people cross-contaminate. So for example, some people use date paste as a spread on toast or a muffin. And so they sometimes will put a knife in that was somewhere else. In that case, yes. But if you just, keep it as is and don't be putting spoons and knives back in, it will last for months, as it will also in your freezer. And so now I'm going to add back in this, and I probably should put I didn't even think everything could have vanilla powder in it. The crust could have, but I'm going to add a little bit to the filling. Okay, so believe it or not, my kale's already ready. I am just going to unplug it right now. Maybe you could just get a wide shot here so you won't have to move it. I'm just going to unplug it, and I'm going to release the pressure using this cool little diverter. You can get a piece of PVC pipe at Home Depot, but these are like 2 for $7. I'm going to release the pressure right over here. You can probably see that. I'm not married to any specific brand of vanilla powder. I've used everything from Dr. Furman's to Wild Foods, I think. I just get whatever's cheaper at the time on Amazon, put it in my cart. When the price drops, that's when I order. But vanilla powder makes everything better. I will no longer use any extract again. They're just watered down versions that have either alcohol or sugar in them, and they really don't give a true vanilla flavor. So now I'm going to process this so that it gets all incorporated. Every now and then, it's always a good idea to scrape the sides down just to get everything This is just so creamy. Cashews really, I think when it comes to desserts, might be one of the best nuts, or really anything, because they are just so darn creamy. I'll let this run just for a few more seconds. Perfect. And I'm just going to push this aside for a minute because my kale is done. Okay. You can see how it cooked all the way down. And then I'm going to add the remaining ingredients. Once I find them. Kalamata, black olives are okay. Green olives a little better, but nothing like Kalamata olives in Whole Foods, Sprouts, Trader Joe's. Even my Rayleigh sells them without oil. Yes, they will have salt, but I'm not using that many. And then let me get my little stir. Oh, this is so good. It literally, you could eat this every day for breakfast. And I actually have a friend who does. And you saw it took no time to make. And if you do have a Trader Joe's near you, all the ingredients are available there. So it's super easy. Oh, the artichoke, the sun-dried tomato, the garlic or the roasted garlic, the olive, the kale is, and this was 1 minute. Can you imagine if we cooked it longer? It would be brown. So what I'm going to do now is just place it on a platter. Healthy cooking doesn't have to be difficult. And by the way, I can easily eat all of this myself, but I'm going to share it because my husband likes it, but there's no problem eating all of this because it's so yummy. One of the things being a professional chef, I worked in a restaurant, I can hold this. This is really hot, but for some reason, you get so used to taking things out of the oven without gloves that I don't even get burned anymore. It's weird. So we just spread this out, move it to the side. And then what we're going to do, and this is optional. Once I find it, oh yeah, here we go. So to make it taste even more like pizza, a little bit of faux Parmesan. I try to really avoid nutritional yeast because it doesn't really agree with me, but one little sprinkle for the holiday, I'll probably be okay because it's not just nutritional yeast, but just to show you if you do use it, you don't need a lot, just a little. But what you do need, in my opinion, is a balsamic drizzle. And no, you don't have to buy California balsamic, even though I think it's the best. They sell balsamic glaze without sugar, even at Walmart. I'm using the Trader Joe's brand because everything else in here is from Trader Joe's. And so you want to take it and just drizzle it over. Oh my goodness. This, if I wasn't talking to you guys right now, I would be eating this, and I have huge platters for when I serve it to company. People love this. I call this pizza kale. I think we've done almost 4 recipes now, maybe 5. So time to get the caramel nut tort into the spring fun pan. If you won't mind just lowering that. Thank you. So what we're going to do now is just pour it over the top. Now this dessert is served chilled, but you do need to let it set up in the freezer. The desserts, if you do have my book, Sweet Indulgence, each category says what to do, whether you should freeze it or not. These need to go in the freezer to set up. And then you want to serve them out of the freezer, just defrost it for a few minutes, because then it really tastes like an ice cream cake. And boy, vanilla and cashew, that smells amazing. Okay, so there is a lot of batter on the blade. To easily get it off, we're just going to place the food processor back on. Pulse it quickly. I'm wondering if Susanna knows that trick. When she comes back, I'm going to ask her.
With the blade?
Yeah.
Yeah, I already did it.
Oh,
That's
wow.
a great trick. I love that.
Listen, I'm talking a lot, so you feel free to talk too.
Well, I actually just went and looked at the chat on my other computer. So thank you to Apple and Tanya, I think it was, who directed me of where I can get artichoke hearts in Canada. So that's great. And also they were wondering if we have the same food processor, which I believe we do.
I have the Breville 16 cup sous chef, the Breville sous chef 16 cup for $549.
But also, I think you have the peel and dice too, right?
I do, but I don't know how to use it.
How to use those
tried to
parts.
teach me, but I forgot. This is my favorite $7 kitchen tool. This is an offset spatula. It's just easier to use than trying to get things flat. You can get it at Walmart. I said, what can't you get at Walmart these days? Boy, they have so much organic and it's cheaper than, in some other stores. What can I tell you? So we got it as smooth as possible. And now we're going to take our walnuts and sprinkle them over the top.
So AJ, I have a couple questions. Can you hear me if I talk from over here?
I can hear you completely well.
Okay, good. So Tanya's wondering if she could add some nut pulp from making almond milk to the crust. Always looking for ways to use the pulp.
Absolutely. So if you have my book, Sweet Indulgence, one of the things I talk about is there's a recipe in there called cinnamon vanilla bliss balls. And that recipe was created at Rancho La Puerta from the pulp from making almond milk. So you absolutely can. It's a fantastic way to repurpose it. And speaking of Rancho La Puerta, and I'm sure Susanna can speak to this because she's been there twice, I run groups there a couple of times a year where if you go when I go, you not only get a steep discount, but you get to do all your activities and meals with me and special guests like Dr. Ellen Goldhammer. The next group is almost sold out, which is my 65th birthday, March 22nd. And then the summer group with Dr. Goldhammer is July 19th. So if you want information, email help@chefaj.com. So I need to push this in the freezer now. And Susanna, I do need to wash my food processor before we do the pizza. So if you could just I don't know, maybe talk a little bit about how you get your 8 kids to eat healthier or anything you want. I need a few minutes to myself.
Sure. Well, my kids are 33 down to 17, 1 girl and 7 boys. 3 are married, 3 are sort of university level, and then 2 still living at home. But my daughter and her husband live in our basement suite. So we usually have 6 to 8 people around the table at this time of year. And then when the 3 come home from being away at school, then we really explode and have a lot more people. I would say it's been a slow burn getting my family eating this way, but I definitely see some changes. They eat a lot more fruit and vegetables. They are much braver to try these dishes nowadays, which is really great because, at first they were pretty resistant. And so now they have favorites and that kind of thing. And so like they love that enchilada sweet potato casserole that you mentioned at the beginning. So yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. I often have fruit out on the counter here, already washed, grapes or blueberries or whatever's in season. And I'll often put out like celery sticks and carrot sticks and a homemade hummus that I can make up real quick. And it's sort of become the norm. But I tell you, at first there was a lot of resistance. And I mean, they support me in what I'm doing, but having them eat it was sort of more of a difficult push. But I do see as they're getting into adulthood, I do see more of the guys sort of in their mid-20s starting to be more concerned about their own nutrition and that kind of thing, which is great. That's the goal. And I know you've said, AJ, like, just don't let them eat it. Don't make it. I'd come home sometimes and there'll be a box of 2 dozen donuts out here on the counter or something. And you said to me, throw them out. And I just can't. I'm a very agreeable personality, according to Dr. Lyle. So I don't eat them myself. And for that part of it, it was harder at the beginning to resist the stuff. Now I don't generally want it because I know how crummy I feel after I eat that kind of stuff. And you know what? I've lost 80 pounds, so I don't want to gain it back. I don't want to go back there. I love my life. I mean, you know, we were texting this morning and I was heading out on my bike ride, and I wouldn't trade this for anything. It's like I have a new lease on life compared to just a couple of years ago. So pretty great.
Hey, Susanna, you
Yeah.
know, you're not a professional chef. You're more of a home cook. You didn't go to culinary school. How easy or hard are you finding these holiday recipes?
Oh, really easy. Like I made a little tiny mistake on the caramel nut tort. I used 3 cups of ground almonds instead of 2 because I had pre-done that yesterday. So I think if I had been doing it, you know, fresh right then, I would have measured it out and followed the recipe properly. But, you know, I looked at it, that it was in the base that I just have more ground almonds than I was supposed to. And you know what? It still has a good texture and it's in the freezer anyways. I'm sure it'll be fine. And that's what I generally find with these recipes too. They're fairly forgiving. Like, oh, if you don't have this, use that. And, you know, you can substitute or leave things out, and it seems to always work out fine.
Yep. And speaking of mistakes, I made one. It's not a big one. So when I put the caramel nut tort in the freezer, I realized I forgot to glaze it with a little bit, just a little bit, no more than a 1/4 cup of organic date syrup. You do not have to do this. This is fine. When I make this at the True North Health Center, I'm not allowed to use date syrup. But what date syrup does is it just gives it a glossy topping, kind of like pecan pie. And so it will disperse on its own. It will move where it needs to, actually, even in the freezer. I could take my offset spatula if I'm worried that it won't, if I could find it, but I can't now. So I'll put just a knife. But this way it gives it kind of like a glazed topping, and it just looks kind of inviting when it comes out.
One awesome thing is that sometimes some of my kids or some of their spouses, they'll say, "This is vegan." They're so surprised.
I love it.
Yeah.
More to get the, I think I put a little bit too much. And I forgot one other thing. I forgot to put the fresh basil on top of the pizza kale. So I'm going to do that right now and show you the easiest way to do it. Because, you know, there are some techniques called chiffonade where you can cut long strips of herbs like basil, but I don't have the best knife skills. Charles is the heat off because I'm getting very hot.
Okay.
We forgot to turn the heat off here. We keep our house like 80 all the time, summer or winter, but it's when we have all these lights, it's not so easy. So I'm just going to stick this back in the freezer. So let's bring back the kale because I want to put a little bit of fresh basil on it.
I've never made this pizza kale before. Does it ever smell good? Wow.
So I just take a couple of leaves and I take my herb scissors, and that way I don't have to use a knife, and I can get this beautiful fresh basil on top. This make it taste even more like pizza. One leaf might just even be enough, but just for good measure, I'll put a second. Yum. Oh, I cannot wait to eat this. And I probably won't even heat it up. I'll just have it at room temperature. It won't be cold. There we go. Got this as a gift from the beloved Dr. Hans Deal. All right. Well, what would Thanksgiving be without cranberry relish, right? And this is why I like to have the 16-cup food processor better than the 10, 12, 8 or even 14 cups, so that I can make large batches. So we've got our fresh cranberries, and they are so inexpensive this time of year. Sometimes I see them for 10 cents a bag at Winco. So I'll stock up and put them in my freezer. So I'm just going to add those to the food processor and I'm going to pulse. So you can completely puree them if you want. I kind of like them like this. And then I'm going to add my orange zest. Charles is actually the one that zested all the oranges for me. Thank you. And he used a tool called a zester, which is like, it's like if you imagine like shaving your beard, men, that's kind of how you push it on the side of the orange. I like the long shreds better than the small little shavings that you get from the microplane. But if that's what you prefer, go ahead. And then I will add that. And then my oranges, these are very small. That's why I'm using a little bit more than 2, and hopefully they're sweet, but you just never know what you're going to get with oranges, which is why we are adding some dates. Sometimes I put some ginger in my cranberry relish, and sometimes I even put frozen cherries in. I have a variation for people that can't have dates that uses roasted pears. It's in the Sweet Indulgence book called Cherry Perry relish. So I'm just going to add my oranges, and that's why with a smaller food processor, it's just so much harder to, at least for me, to do anything. So now I'm going to let this puree a little bit. And the dates are to taste. Now, because we're having a crowd tomorrow of what I call regular people that may not have the same palate sensitivity that Charles and I do, there's probably going to be way more dates in here than we would do if we were making it for ourselves. But when you think about it, what is real cranberry sauce that you buy? It's really nothing but sugar. And that's because cranberries are very, very tart. When it goes like that, that means there's probably a pit. And really, if you have time, and I never have time, do cut your dates in half or squeeze each one so that you don't have to go through what I'm going through embarrassingly right now.
AJ, I found an old jar of ocean spray cranberries in my pantry, and I was looking just out of curiosity what the ingredients are, and the first listed ingredient is sugar, glucose, fructose, and cranberries and water.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Just shows you.
Like in a quarter cup of, like in the nutritional information, a quarter cup is 20 grams of sugar. A lot.
Wow. That's a lot. So what I'm going to do, now this actually, because of the dates, it will get nice and thick in your refrigerator, but you could add a little bit of chia seeds if you want to thicken it even more, depending on the use. I recommend white chia seeds because the black ones to me are not as attractive and discolor. So before I put it in a bowl, I'm going to just have my husband Charles see if it's sweet enough, not for us, but for the company tomorrow, because this would be the time to add more dates.
It's a little tart.
A little tart. You want a little sweetener?
Sure.
So what I can do is I can grab more dates. I have date paste in my refrigerator, but since this was the closest, I'm just going to go around a little bit, and then I'll have them taste it again with a clean spoon, of course. I know that there's a pit in there because when it vibrates like that, it's just trying to check gets the pit. Yep, there we go. 2 for 2. All right. So that means my loaf is ready, but I'm going to be doing that, attending to that. Okay. And we didn't use very much date syrup. I would say that was maybe 4 tablespoons. I don't measure things in general, especially when it is to taste. And then he will taste it one more time. I wish he'd come on camera. He's very shy. And if he likes it, this is going to go perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going to take a pretty dish to put it in the refrigerator for tomorrow.
Mine ended up being 2 cups of dates.
2 cups, perfect.
Somebody asked whether we used medjool or deglet for the date paste. What did you use, AJ?
I always use Deglet, guys, because the medjewels are just too expensive.
I'm embarrassed to say I didn't know that, and this is the first time I've made it with the deglet.
Wow.
It's good. It's really
Oh,
nice.
Yeah, I like actually that the Deglet are a little bit drier. And I actually did, this is actually, I believe I did a 1.5, if not a 2 times recipe. And I'm going to be making another one as soon as this show is over, because I still have to make enough for everybody tomorrow. Cranberry relish can be frozen. I actually have some in my freezer right now. It can be used in many of the desserts in Sweet Indulgence, and it would be fantastic on your oatmeal. So there we go. And I think we only have like one more. No, we have 2 more recipes left. So I'm going to put this in my fridge. I also do need to rinse my food processor out again. So we're going to make what I think is the most delicious thing I've ever eaten, the polenta pizzas. Will be the appetizer. Need to do some rinsing. Just talk amongst yourselves in the chat. Too bad we're not all seeing each other on Zoom. Oh, I'm a terrible promoter, but I have an amazing bundle going on this week. I think you get like $4,000 worth of stuff for 50 bucks. I don't think I put the link in this chat, but mostly I just put people on my mailing list. I don't know what I put in there, but I think it's good. All right, let's in the fridge.
The other part of my food processor.
Right. Over on the table there for me, please.
Oh, there it is.
No, bigger brown table. I'm open it just yet. Right, so now we are going to make, or I'm going to make mini polenta pizzas. You haven't tried these yet, have you, Susanna?
No, this is new to me. I'm really excited about this one.
Oh my God, it makes 12, so I'm gonna have to do the recipe 4 times. But I will tell you, whenever I serve these, which is at my monthly game parties, people know they don't come late because they only make 12, and then somebody else is gonna get 2 because it's that good.
Wow.
All right, and this is the filling of the pesto stuffed mushrooms. And what I love about this,
Oh,
I don't like freezing everything. I know people always say to me, and they write the help desk, can such and such be frozen? And unless I've frozen it myself, I don't know what to tell you, because there's so many variables in whether something can be frozen, particularly the temperature of your freezer. So when I worked at the restaurant, that was a constant temperature and it was a deep freeze, but many people's freezers are not as cold. And also depending on how often they're opening it and how full it is, it really does affect things. That's why I think so many people get the attractive freezer burn on their things and all that frostiness. One thing I know for sure is that the pesto can be frozen, and I do, because if I'm just making 12 of these, it makes enough for 3 times as many pizzas. And so it's great because when I have fresh basil, it just goes bad so quickly. It turns brown, and I don't like to freeze the basil itself, but I've frozen this pesto, and it's amazing. So we have our pine nuts, and I love the prices at Costco and Sam's Club for organic pine nuts. So we're just going to put that in the food processor fitted with the S-blade. And then we have our garlic and low sodium miso. I do not ever use salt in my recipes. However, there's about 2 recipes I do, and only 2, maybe 3, that without the miso, without that little saltiness, I'm not going to get what I need. You can omit it. It won't be quite the same. So if you were going to omit the miso, roast your garlic, and that will definitely help. And then we have our lemon juice. I like it a little bit more lemony, so I put a little more lemon juice than the recipe calls for. And then our fresh basil. So anytime I have fresh basil and it's left over, I'll just make this pesto and freeze it. So then anytime I want to make this pizza, it's going to be even easier. Just need to find a measuring cup and put the fresh basil in. Maybe just lower it just a little bit. I mean, this container had so much in it that I am going to probably be able to make 2 more recipes with this amount of basil. And I do want to keep a little of it because I like to do what I did with the pizza kale on top of the pizzas after they're cooked. There's nothing like the smell of fresh basil. And most pestos are full of oil and cheese and not very good for you. And you don't need that because pine nut is just such a rich nut. It is an expensive nut. It's probably at least the most expensive I've seen. Sometimes when they can't get them, I've seen them like really expensive, like $30 for a bag. So when you see them for less, get them. All right. Very easy to make this pesto, which is great in my disappearing lasagna, stuffed mushrooms, stuffed zucchini, or in this case, what we're doing is polenta pizzas.
AJ, I have a question.
Sure.
Someone from the chat would like to know, they don't have a muffin pan. Do you recommend an aluminum square pan or glass Pyrex instead?
Gosh, I think glass cooks things differently, to be honest. And all my recipes have always been done in silicone. So I would definitely do silicone. You might have to increase the cooking time, not 100% sure. But yeah, I don't have a lot of luck cooking with glass or metal. So because I tested, 157 recipes in my book with silicone.
Can you hear me still?
And again, we're all going to scrape it down because a few of the nuts go rogue on the side. Oh man, smells so, so good. Like I said, I like mine a little bit more lemony than the recipe calls for. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And right. So now I'm just going to put this put it in my Scooby-Doo bowl. And
Sandy has a question. Sorry. Sandy has a question. She said that she noticed you use millet a lot in your desserts cookbook. Can you recommend a substitution?
Can I ask why she needs a substitution? Is she allergic to millet? Because I mean, the only substitution I can think of is to just use the same amount of oats. But the whole purpose of using millet is because oats are gummy. And for some reason, it mitigates the gummy texture. So that I don't know a substitution. So maybe somebody in the chat knows a substitution for millet. Millet's awesome though, even on its own cooked. So here we have this wonderful pesto that will make probably 36 pizzas, if not 48, but I'm not going to worry because I have more in the freezer and I can make more. Whoop. And we're not going to actually use, even though this is very high in fat, it's just going to be a swipe on each pizza, you'll see. So I am too lazy to make the polenta myself. And unfortunately, they told me at Rancho, if we want to do this recipe, we got to make it ourselves, which is like, oh, it's so hard, especially because you can buy polenta organic in a tube at all kinds of stores, even your regular grocery store. So why do we have to make it if we can buy it? Because time is just as important sometimes as money. So let's get every drop of this pesto ready to use, and could actually get rid of this now because we're not going to use this again today. We're going to be putting other things on the counter. So let's get you the pizzas here to dress.
So somebody's wondering if we have the same air fryer, AJ. I think we do.
Yeah, Susanna and I are sisters from another mister. So yeah, anything I have, she has. But yes, we do Revel, and that will be on special Black Friday. So I just buy the organic polenta in a tube. I have seen this in every grocery store, from Whole Foods to Trader Joe's to Sprouts to Raley's. I've never not seen it. And so what I do is I get 12 slices out of this. Once I got 13, once 14, but what I do, and I had to do this in advance because it takes 40 minutes. There's a little line here, I cut it in half, and then I cut each half in half, and then each fourth I cut in 3 slices. It doesn't have to be perfect, because some of them, like this bottom piece was a little bit thicker, but I do cook these. It says to cook them for 20 minutes at 350. I find when I do that, it's too wet. So I cook it for 20 at 350, and then I flip them and I cook them 20 more. And that is the texture that I prefer. And you can do this in advance for sure. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pesto. And you don't need much. These are so rich and so amazingly delicious. Now I'm going to have to serve these tomorrow. So I'm not going to cook them because I've never done that, reheating the whole thing. I only cook them for 5 minutes in the air fryer anyway, just to get a nice little crispiness to them.
AJ, about how much of the pesto are you using? Do you figure like a teaspoon?
Oh, I'm using a third of what, okay. Oh, wait, I made it's a third of what you made. So if whatever you made, you have enough to make 24 more pizzas. I made a double recipe. So I would say, how much am I using?
Like about a teaspoon seems to
Teaspoon.
cover
I'd
it?
say
Yeah.
about a teaspoon. Yeah.
Okay.
Teaspoon, about, yeah. So I don't measure, but I just want it all the way around. And it's so pretty, the yellow and the green.
I didn't know that this was the same filling from those mushrooms that we always make at Rancho, because those fly off that tray when those come out of the oven. Hey, everybody
It's the
loves
same
them.
filling, but for some reason, when you put it on a pizza, it
Ugh.
just tastes different. This is a
Yeah.
silicone baking mat. I wish I could get more of these because they have the firm edges. I have not seen them since QVC stopped selling them. It's heartbreaking. So I'm just going to make this. And the thing is, depending on how many people you're serving, sometimes guests only get 1 or 2, and it's the kind of thing that they want more than 1 or 2. They want like literally 4 or 6. So if me and my husband are having them, like with our dinner, we'll each get 6. But in general, you kind of have to tell people, hey, slow it down. There's other people here. Because the other day when we had these, like I said, okay, 2 per person. And then Charles, who's the pokey little puppy, he said, we only got 1. I'm like, well, that's what happens. You don't take what's yours right away. So there we go. It is rich though, so you probably couldn't eat that. That's why I thought, well, I don't want to do it in a big polenta pizza and give people a big piece. It would be very rich. It's so much better than marinara sauce on a pizza, if you ask me. So we've got them all green now, and then we're going to place our toppings on them.
They're so cute.
Oh, they're amazing. And so I am going to have 4 things on each one. And basically, I'm just putting on these pizzas what I like to have on a pizza when I used to eat pizza. And so one of the things I loved on a pizza were artichoke hearts. So each one is going to get, and it's not a whole heart, it's maybe like 1/4 of an artichoke heart. Again, I don't measure, I'm not precise. Each one's a little bit different. It's just getting them to fit, just so that everybody gets a piece of the artichoke. And that's what I love about the frozen artichokes, is that I use about 3 of them for each tube. And so I can just take 3 out when I know I'm making the pizza. Just get some of this on everybody's. Yep. Yeah, I've been making these for years, and I don't know why I didn't even ever do the recipe until now, because I guess I just forgot. And for people that absolutely are strictly avoiding nuts, that's fine. What I would do then is I would make a marinara, and there's marinara recipes in my book, and then I would put something like an oven roasted ratatouille on it. I did that for my UC. I get to teach medical students at UC Davis, and I did that recipe. They liked that very much. So You're not.
How do the
getting-
medical students respond to this way of eating? That's
They love it because it's actually, now that I live up here, I was used to do the class remotely, but now that I live here, they actually come to my house and they make the meal. They're just wonderful. Alexa, off.
Oh, that's mine.
Oh, is that yours or mine?
Mine was going. I wonder if it went on when you when you started yours.
Okay.
I didn't set mine, so it must have, I just didn't notice it.
So I'm not going to take my muffins out of the oven yet, but I have turned it off and I have opened the oven door, and I'll show these to you when I can get over there. So let me finish dressing my pizzas. And so I've got my artichoke hearts, and then I have got my roasted red bell pepper, which you can now buy in jars or make your own. I got to tell you, if something's available, I'm not going to buy it probably. I don't mind a little bit of salt. I have never been exclusively salt-free when it comes to condiments. I just don't use salt in my cooking, but I do eat condiments like barbecue sauce and mustard and ketchup with no sugar, but it has salt. It's not a problem. I have very normal to low blood pressure, so it is not something I worry about, especially since I'm going to be lucky if I get even one of these. So,
You know, for anybody with kids, my 17 and 19-year-old really love the Well Your World barbecue sauce and their sweet chili sauce,
nice.
which is amazing. Like, and the ketchup too. They'll eat that
Nice.
too. Yeah,
And
it's
that's
great.
completely SOS free. I buy a brand that I love called I Love Date Lady, and it is not salt free, but it is sugar free, and it's date sweetened, and it's so yummy. And I love her chili, her sweet chili sauce. So now so what I'm going to do is each one gets one olive. So it gets 2/2 of the Kalamata olives. And you could actually just serve this now without cooking it, but I find just putting it in the air fryer for 5 minutes, it just makes it even more delicious. But I'm not going to do that because I've never done it that way and then reheated it the next day. Then when I take them out, then I do drizzle them with the balsamic glaze before serving, just like I did the pizza kale. And I also just cut a little bit of fresh basil over the top. And this presentation is as spectacular as it is delicious. So we're
AJ,
just,
I have a question. When you say to put it in the air fryer at 400, do you mean on the air fry cycle or the bake cycle?
yeah, I do on the air fry setting for
Okay.
400 for 5 minutes, and it's perfect.
Okay.
So here we go. We've got everything on it except for our sun-dried tomatoes. And a lot of sun-dried tomatoes come packed in oil, so I just get the plain ones at Trader Joe's. And actually, when I go to Rayleigh's, I get them with they get a smoked sun-dried tomato. So just wherever I can get it to fit the sun-dried tomato. This literally is a party in your mouth. And even the most unhealthy eaters that I have ever met go gaga for this recipe. So there's still time for you to get to the store and make this as your Thanksgiving appetizer.
Look how cute those are. I'm just holding them up to the camera before I
So
put them in.
they're so cute. And
So cute.
people love personalized food. And
Mm.
it's much prettier when you have your own little pizza than, you know, getting around pizza and then cutting a triangle. It is, like you say, they say we eat with our eyes. So presentation is everything. Just make sure each one has one of all 4 components. It's just amazing. There we go. So you're going to be able to probably cook yours because you're going to.
Yeah, I just put them in. Yeah.
Right? So
Yep.
whatever we have room for, hopefully. And find some room. This one, yeah, and that's it. I mean, this is so fun, so good. And these are our mini polenta pizzas. We have 2 recipes left. Yay! Maybe we'll get done in time. I can even have a chance to walk Bailey before it gets dark. Okay, so now I'm gonna make a cocktail, a mocktail. This is called the Cranberry Spritzer. And where I live, I'm able to find cranberries all year round in the freezer. And what's nice about having cranberries in the freezer is that it actually makes this thicker if you wanted to do this. I'm going to just do a double recipe and maybe Charles will drink this. So we have some unsweetened, unfiltered apple juice, organic. And we have our nice tart cranberries. And then we have some lime juice. So this isn't super sweet. The sweetness does come from the apple juice. I would not try it with water because again, remember, cranberries are very, very tart. And I'm gonna just blend this up. Okay. About 17 seconds in the blender. Get a pretty glass because it's the holidays. These are from the dollar store, but you could also just, he's probably going to need a lot. So I'll give him a bigger glass. So what you want to do, well, actually, I'm going to divide it into, lower that just a tiny bit. So I'm going to lower this into, or I'm going to split it into 2 servings. It's just so pretty.
It smells
like
good.
Kids will feel so special, like they're getting a special cocktail because we're an alcohol-free home, smoke-free home, drug-free home. So, but somebody's going to bring alcohol tomorrow. And in the interest of the holiday spirit, I will say nothing. But then when they ask for a wine opener, I'm like, sorry, we don't have one because we're an alcohol-free home. Okay, so then you have a little bit of, can you open this? A little bit of your favorite sparkling water. And then you just pour it over the top. You can get rid of this now. Split it between the glasses. And then you can raise it now. We can make a toast. Maybe your hand can be in there. So what you do is put your hand in there, since you can make a little toast to you, to friendship, to Susanna, to all of you. Have a happy, healthy holiday season. Cheers, skol, l'chaim, sante.
Good.
Not too sweet.
Oh, it's nice.
Really nice.
I
Guess
haven't
what?
had that before.
You get 2. Okay, 1 recipe left. Well, actually, showing you the finish of the loaf is important, but then just going to cook the gravy. And move things away because no matter how big my kitchen is, I fill with space. So my loaves have been ready for a while for my muffins. Again, if you're not me, don't put hot things without gloves. So the thing is you never want to pop something out of any silicone or any pan until it's had a little bit of time to cool, because then it will stick. But what's going to happen is these are going to be able to come out. And so I am going to cook these tomorrow. With the mashed potatoes on top, I'm going to put all of them. Hopefully this will fit 36. And then I'm going to bake them for 15 minutes so the potatoes brown. So right now, I am not going to take them out. Oops. But I am going to frost them. And I made my mashed potatoes in advance. And these are the creamiest, these are the best mashed potatoes I've ever tasted. And they're from a box. I'm sorry, but I have never had human beings made mashed potatoes that were this much like frosting and this creamy. I get these at Whole Foods, but other companies make them. They come in organic and not. They're just instant mashed potatoes. There's only one ingredient, dehydrated potatoes. And then I cook them with, I don't use the butter that's on there. I just use water and a little bit of non-dairy milk. Microwave it, comes out perfect every time. And when I've done holiday loaves in the past, what I have done is I've baked this into round layer cakes. And then what I've done is the middle layer, I'll sometimes do mashed orange sweet potatoes. I'll frost the whole cake with the mashed potatoes. And then in the middle, there'll be the cranberry relish. And it actually looks like a dessert cake. So what I'm going to do now is put mashed potatoes on each one. Maybe I should have used the bigger one, but this is actually kind of cute. And of course, there'll be extra mashed potatoes on the side. So I like to serve this slathered in the gravy that I'm going to make next with cranberry sauce on the side. So I make this meal pretty much only at Thanksgiving. And if my husband requests it again on his birthday, which is December, we had that last year, and I'll be making it for a hospital in December. So I'll get to eat it again, which is nice. So this is going to be enough to frost another. And what's nice about this is my biggest fear is we're going to run out of food. And if we do, I got so many boxes of these and I can just cook them up in, 9 minutes. So anyway, that's that. And then I'm just going to tomorrow cook these, heat them all up for after the oven's preheated for 15 minutes. So, and they're just so cute and they're just so yummy. So probably add a little bit more. Just want to be able to get them out. I have a bigger scoop. I probably should have used that one, but I mean, it's like having a cupcake as your entree, because these are so white and people just seem to like it. This is really comfort food at its finest. Thank you, Dr. McDougall, for making potatoes great again. We'll miss him this holiday for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I already miss him now, but okay, just one more. So maybe you'll be able to see Susanna's finished project. If anybody ever wants to do a cook along with me like Susanna, just write me at help@chefaj.com. And if you're enjoying this format, we can do it again. It doesn't necessarily have to be for a holiday. And I do teach classes where I actually get to see you like I see Susanna, where we cook together. And that's actually really helpful because a lot of times people say, why does it look like this? And I'm like, I can't see it. I don't know. So there we have it. Yeah.
Karen is wondering where you get your bottled lime juice.
Is that our Karen or a different Karen?
Karen R.
Okay. Oh, hello, Karen R. I get it everywhere. So believe it or not, I get it at Rayleigh's. I get it at Sprouts. I get it at Whole Foods. I get it not at Trader Joe's. Whole Foods, Sprouts, Rayleigh's. Those are the 3 places I've seen the organic Santa Cruz lime and lemon juice. Everything is cost benefit analysis, and it's just not worth it to me to save a few pennies when I have to sit there and struggle to get the juice out of the lemon or the lime. And you can have my cocktail too if you want. So we're just going to put these aside, and when it cools, I'll pop them out, get ready to cook them tomorrow. I'll show you my muffins, which are ready.
My loaf came out without breaking.
Yay.
Yeah, that's what I was nervous about.
And I do not want to attempt to push these out yet because,
Yeah.
that's when it will break. So we just do need to let these cool. And then we have one more recipe to make, and that is the gravy. This is not my recipe, but I have a couple of gravy recipes in my books, and they're delicious, but there's a lot you got to do, like cut up an onion and saute mushrooms. And it's like, I don't have time for that. I want to spend time with my family and my company. So Nora Cooks has an amazing vegan gravy recipe that's in the link that's in the PDF, which you get for free just by clicking it right underneath this video. And she said, she's fine with me sharing it because it is on her blog. So I'm going to get my burner. Well, we're going to eat good tomorrow.
It's a cranberry spritzer.
Okay, you want to put this down like this? Okay. Alrighty. Just gotta gather up my ingredients. Which one is yours and which one is mine of this? Gotta have another sip of this. This is good. I love how it makes like a little stripe. I almost called this a pink flamingo. That's good, but you can have mine. It almost kind of tastes like it does have alcohol. This is the one thing I didn't measure in advance. Don't know why. but I'll do it now. All right. So. Recipe is from Nora Cooks. It's called Easy Vegan Gravy. Printed it out, and I'm going to make it right now in front of you. So what I'm going to do is in my pot, you need to get a whisk. Where is the box of broth? Do you see it anywhere? No.
Whisk over there.
St. Anthony. Here's the box of broth.
No.
Well, luckily I have another one. So you can raise it for just a minute while I talk to the fine folk. I'm going to be honest, I never use broth. I'm too cheap, and I don't think it makes a difference if the recipe is good. However, this is not my recipe, so I'm going to follow it exactly, because that's what I do. Whenever I make somebody else's recipe, that's why when people complain to me, your recipe didn't come out, and I find out they did like 10 or 20 substitutions, when I'm doing somebody else's recipe, I always follow it exactly, at least the first time. And also I find that broth is just, it's so expensive, you know, I mean, like I got this luckily because it was on sale, but I'm not going to pay, you know, I've seen it for as much as $6.99 a box. I'm not going to do that. It's ridiculous. But I got this on sale at my local Raley's, no salt added, no artificial flavors, gluten-free, unsalted vegetable stock by Kitchen Basics. And I'm going to use that. I find if I absolutely need broth, I usually just buy from local spicery, the bada bing, bada boom, umami mami, and that's like to me the most flavorful. But again, I never really do it. So I'm just going to pour this in. I'm going to turn my heating element on and just do that. Where did I put that recipe I just had? Oh, thank you. Okay, so I'm doing the recipe, I think times 2 or 4. So that's why I'm not saying the amount of ingredients. You go by your PDF because I'm doubling or tripling everything. So add all ingredients to a medium sized pot and bring to a boil. Okay, so the other ingredients. So it calls for soy sauce or tamari. I'm allergic to soy, so I'm going to substitute the miso, because you can get like brown rice miso, and miso is healthier anyway, and it's a lot lower in sodium. So that's what I'm going to be using.
I use teriyaki balsamic in mine.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
And have you tried it that way? That sounds amazing.
I'll tell you in about 5 minutes when it's ready.
Well, if it works out good, then I'll do the next one like that.
Okay.
It's only 2 tablespoons for a lot of gravy, so I'm not upset about it. But didn't you tell me that before we got to this? That's why we have you there, because you're smart. So Dijon mustard, here's the thing. There is a wonderful salt-free Dijon mustard, and I ordered it at the Harvest Festival, and it arrives tomorrow. Sarah's bringing it over, so I'm just going to use the one with salt. But Primo's Gourmet Foods, Gary makes wonderful salt-free. Dr. Greger loves it. I got him 18 jars for his birthday. And he likes the habanero. I like just the regular garlic Dijon. So we've got that in there. And then we need some onion powder, nutritional yeast, and brown rice flour, which keeps it gluten-free. So
I have a question about the loaf. Would you, this with you, would you ice the sides or just the top?
Well, boy, that's a great question. It looks really nice like that. So I might just jam pack more on top.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
And now here's the other thing, Susanna, depending if you were going to frost it all the way around, then I would cook it. And then right before serving, then put the red stripe on top of the cranberry sauce. That would be amazing. So
oh yeah, that would be pretty.
That's another way to do it. So I need 6 tablespoons. Okay, I need 1.5 onion powder. But I love this because I don't have to like sit there and saute onion and, you know, garlic. It's just so good. So it's going to take a little bit of time to come up to a boil, because when you use one of these little camp stoves, it's not like using your stove over there, but okay. So tablespoons of this. Additional yeast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. And then we need 1/2 cup of brown. And so we're just going to whisk this all like this. And it says, bring it everything to a boil and whisk until gravy thickens. Serve with mashed potatoes. It keeps well for a week. Add a little water if too thick and serve. So thank you, Nora. I've never met you, but I love your gravy recipe. Just got to add the brown rice flour. Generally don't use flour, but I don't know how to make a good thickened gravy without it. Oh, let me just show you what I use. This is a little Tupperware thing. And when I am freezing the pesto, if I fill this one up, this is exactly the right amount for all 12 pizza slices. So almost enough. You're going to have to open another bag just for that.
Oh, somebody had the idea that we could pipe on the potatoes. That would be really
Yes.
pretty, wouldn't it?
Yes, absolutely. With a cobbler and a pastry bag, you absolutely can. And you can, here's the thing, you can use sweet potatoes too, but realize we've already got sweet potato in the loaf, and the white frosting, especially if you're willing to use the box, it's just so pretty. Okay, this is actually, I think, starting to thicken up pretty soon. And I'm going to make at least 2 more batches of this for the company. And that's
Apple has a great idea. She said we could call the drink a Pinky Tuscadero. I love it.
I love it. I love it. So
That's
Susanna, I might be finishing soon. And so what
Yeah.
I'll do is if I can finish this recipe, I'll go to my computer and read some of the comments and talk to people from there. And you can be side by side like that as well. And this is just a matter of a watch pot never boils. So, and again, you know, we're going to a lot more trouble because it's a holiday, but you know, I mean, Susanna, you don't cook this elaborate every single
Oh,
day.
goodness, no.
Actually, if people sign up for the 2025, the Truth About Weight Loss Summit, I know for a fact that you are actually going to show people exactly how you cook and what you do on a daily basis and how you were able to lose and maintain an 80-pound weight loss. So this is a holiday, so we go a little bit out, more all out. But I do think that, you know, I feel like people don't really eat salad that much during Thanksgiving. At least they didn't last year. I am, because we're having so many people. I have other desserts to supplement the meal. I made my outrageous brownies and Goodman peanut chews from Sweet Indulgence. And I also made my quinoa salad with pistachio and currants and herbs from Unprocessed, because I don't want, you know, I don't want to run out of food, and I especially don't run out of starch. I just don't have the oven space tomorrow to make the roasted vegetables, but I will tell the people on the Evite that if anybody doesn't know what to bring, that would be fantastic. So yeah, it was really interesting, Susanna. So today I went to my, I mean, I'm involved in this group on Wednesdays. We have a meeting every Wednesday, 12 to 1, but it's never for lunch because it's more like a, you know, they don't necessarily allow food, but because of the holiday, we brought food, and nobody there was, other than me, let's see, there was 8 people there. Other than me, nobody was vegan. I don't know how healthy they were or weren't. And I was worried would they like the food. And I brought them the quinoa salad with the pistachios and currants. I brought my raspberry thumbprint cookies and the chocolate faux nuts made out of carob, and everybody liked it. So this is going to thicken as it, I don't know if lowering that makes a difference, if they can see inside the pot, but yeah, that's fine. I don't care if they see. This smells really, really good. It's really just like a traditional gravy, and it's so easy. And, you know, there's hundreds of free recipes on my YouTube channel and website, chefaj.com. Please consider subscribing. And another great place for, you know, free recipes that are, you know, starch-based and low calorie density, delicious would be drmcdougall.com. Mary McDougall has a meal that she makes, and you can get the recipes there. So there, oh, I love the smell of this. And I never think to eat gravy except at Thanksgiving. I don't know why, but oh yeah, see, it's really starting to boil now, and I can already tell it's starting to thicken. And we'll just heat this back up tomorrow. And people can add their gravy. Actually, last year, I had a 100th birthday party for Dr. John Scharfenberg, and I do remember making this exact meal. I remember the gravy.
How's he doing, AJ?
He's doing great. He is celebrating with his family in North Fork, and hopefully he'll be back in time so we can have a 101st birthday party for him. His birthday is December 15th, and hopefully he's going to speak at this big conference that I've been asked to host next year in Vegas, and hopefully the producer will get that information up on the website soon. But it's so funny because Susanna, the conference you were at July 7th, I announced my retirement from producing conferences. It was our 23rd conference. And the minute that I said I'm not producing any more conference, I get an email asking me to host an amazing plant-based party. They're calling it the Plant Powered Party in Las Vegas with not only Dr. John Scharfenberg, but they have Chris Wark and Christy Funk and Brenda Davis and Neil Barnard and Alan Goldhammer, Doug Lyle, Tammy Kramer, Lissa Maris from Raw Food Romance. Oh, there's more. Who else is coming? I know there's more. There's a lot. It's just amazing. So
That's going to be amazing.
Okay, so I could probably stop this at any time because, it's going to thicken as it cools, and then I can go and catch any last bit. I can't believe we got done in less than 2 hours. We booked this for 2 hours. So there you have this beautiful, beautiful gravy. And I'm going to go in the other room now and finish my mocktail and say bye to everybody.
Maybe while AJ does that, I'll hold up my things. So there's my loaf.
That's beautiful.
And there's the pizzas.
You can talk too if you want. How do I remove spotlight from there? Okay, now we're side by side. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. There's
Oh,
the
that looks great.
there's the muffins. My mocktail is gone.
I have a few more sips of mine.
There's my gravy. Can't really see that. And the kale came out really good too.
You're gonna love that. You're not gonna want to share that.
I know I could probably eat that whole bowl myself.
Ooh, I see Rich is watching. Rich is coming tomorrow, Susan Kiwi. Oh, hey, Susan. She's a wonderful pastry chef, one of the best, if not the best, from Raw Fresno, which is open tomorrow. And she made my 2-ingredient pecan pie. So thank you. And that is wonderful. Yeah, I know. You see, when we do this side by side, I know it's hard for people on Instagram, but we are a YouTube show primarily, and we were going to do it in speaker mode rather than gallery. But then, we like seeing each other side by side. What can I tell you? So I'm just going to catch if there's any comments. 2025 truth about weight loss. No, it's brand new. Susanna's one of the experts. We're in the process of doing interviews. I think we have 24 of the 36 done. So yeah, this might probably be my last year hosting because, after 7 years, I can't really find much more to say, so it's just more for inspiration. Yeah. Yeah, I can't do the broth from Will Your World, Barbara. Unfortunately, I love Dylan, but he tends to use black pepper in almost everything, and I have such a bad black pepper allergy. So I wish he would make one without black pepper, but then I would be all over it for sure. Somebody suggesting quinoa instead of millet. Yeah. Well, we can go early. Let's see. I have had date paste spoil without any cross-contamination after 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, I believe you. I've never had that happen. Is your refrigerator calibrated to the proper temperature? Because that's unusual, but I'm sure it could happen. Do you both? Yeah. So I'm looking at the comments. Okay. Well, that's good. So Susanna, thanks so much. Oh, did you hear that? We love Susanna's organizational skills, says we celebrate eating plants,
I was going to say, do you remember there's a black mold that isn't sometimes in dates? Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, if the dates are spoiled. Yeah, that's a good point. If your dates were spoiled, if you didn't cut your dates in half and you had some of that black stuff in it, that's a great Great idea that it could do that. Yeah. Mm. Well, that was fun. And guess what? I got to repeat it now on my own, meaning I have to make it, I think I'll take us out of, maybe I'll take us out of gallery mode and yeah, then we won't be side by side. Any thought? Okay. So Susanna, are any of your clients, calling you right now or are they hiding?
No, I have one appointment tomorrow. I have another one on Friday. So they're not hiding. It's good. It is what I find though, is when people are slipping off and struggling is when they stop calling to chat. And that's likely when you need to chat the most, and I've been there and done that and had so many snack accidents in the last 4 years, and it still happens to me. I still fall into the pleasure trap. So I have.
Sure. Do you have any tips or tricks for people to not have a snack accident tomorrow, even though there's going to be a lot of food and a lot of it will be hyper palatable?
Well, everybody's different. For myself, I am the person that I can't have even one bite of something. Like if like I can't face down one potato chip or one chocolate or whatever kind of food is your vice. I'm better to be abstinent and not wake up those dopamine circuits. I'm just so much better off. And I know this because I've done it. I've tried it. And once I start, I can't stop. What is that expression you've said before, AJ? Like one bite is too many and 1,000 is never
Yeah,
enough.
never enough. Or even the food industry says once you pop, you just can't stop.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's easier for me because, I don't live in a clean environment. My family does not eat as clean as I do. In fact, like I mentioned the donuts earlier, like there's a lot of junk around. And so for myself, I just have to commit to having none. But then I on the flip side of that, I'm not just eating a plain romaine lettuce salad either. I do treat myself to special meals like this when the family is doing things, or I'll make a really nice vegan dessert out of your cookbook. And although it's richer than what I would normally have, I find that having those sometimes keeps me on track.
Absolutely. And also, wouldn't you agree that like once something goes out of season, it's probably easier to stay away from it than if you're having it every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's when those pounds start to creep back on. And, I kind of have to catch myself. And I think too, it's not just the pounds, it's not just the physical manifestation of it all. It's emotional. And I feel so out of control when I'm eating foods that I'm addicted to, and I feel so in control. My brain is calm and stable when I'm eating well. Like I'll eat everything here that we have, and I eat till I'm good and full. Like that's the other secret to my success has been, I'm a volume eater, and so I eat a lot of food, but it's all low caloric density. So I'm good. My weight is holding steady, and I got to experience True North earlier in the fall in September for the first time. Had an amazing experience. Did a 14-day water fast, and so yeah, it's all been a wonderful journey.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, I interviewed Dr. Lyle yesterday for his episode of the Truth About Weight Loss Summit, and that's one of the things he talks about is not just caloric density of the species, but of what they're eating in the Kalahari. And it'll be very surprising to know that what people are eating around the world, and it's making so many people struggle.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So should we say goodnight, Gracie? Then you have other things to do, I'm sure. So I hope everybody has a very happy, healthy Thanksgiving. And let's see, what are your favorite flavors of California balsamic? So Joanne, I'll let Susanna answer that as well. My favorite is on their website because I do have a Chef AJ pack, but I tend to like I love the dark ones probably more than the light ones. So I love the Gilroy garlic, the teriyaki, the smoked hickory. Those would be my three favorite dark, and then my three favorite light would be curry and a 7 herb Italian. And I like all of them. I'll tell you this. How about this? The only one I don't like is lavender. That's literally the only one I didn't care for.
Yeah. I love teriyaki. That's my go-to in the morning on my vegetables. I've recently discovered fresh basil. That's delicious. Gilroy garlic. Those are kind of my savory favorites. On a salad, I love crisp cucumber. I don't know what it is, but it tastes like a salad dressing. And then my our favorite for a sweet drink, we just mix 1 or 2 tablespoons of huckleberry in soda water, similar in a way to what we did with the mocktail that we made tonight. And my husband and I will have our AJ cocktail some nights, and it's delicious. So
Yum. What time are you guys going to be eating this feast tonight?
I usually try to eat by 5. I really like keeping, since I've been to True North, I've really been trying to keep their hours. So like 8 to 9 is breakfast, 12 to 1 is lunch, and 5 to 6 is dinner. And that sort of seems to be working for me. So
let's see. Dixie's saying the recipes aren't at the link. I just clicked it, Dixie, and it says it right there, right from YouTube, Thanksgiving cook along recipe ebook. So I just clicked it right from the YouTube. So I can try clicking it from the chat to see if that's wrong, but it works for me.
AJ, I have a taste tester here.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Dixie, I just tried it from both locations. It does work. Let's see who's going to taste it.
Grab something. What do you want to try? Oh, I knew it.
Carol, the recipes are in the link. I just tried it from the show notes and I tried it from the chat. I don't know what, tell me what you're seeing if you're not seeing the recipes.
We got a pizza trial here.
Amazing.
It's good.
Oh my.
Nice.
Did you put a little drizzle of balsamic on it?
No, I forgot.
Oh my gosh.
Even better then.
Then it will. See, she's the expert.
Oh my God. Well, he loves it. That's great. Fantastic.
He says I should listen to the chef.
Yeah. So the recipes, you just have to click the link, Carol. And other people are, hey, Cheryl, happy Thanksgiving. See you maybe on Sunday. We have a big potluck at Meristem. If you live in Northern California, we have a band. So come on down for that. And the recipes are there. I don't know what to tell you. help@chefaj.com but the link works. I just tried it myself. So Susanna, it's been a pleasure cooking with you. Maybe we can do it again sometime. What's the next holiday? I don't really do Christmas though. We usually go to a restaurant for Christmas.
Yeah, that's my next big one is Christmas dinner.
Yeah. If you want to meet Susanna in person, I know she'll be in Vegas. I don't know if she's coming back to Rancho next year, but she will be in Vegas Labor Day weekend. That's for sure. No, Dixie, the recipes are free. So I don't know what you're clicking, but I've clicked it like a million times. And not a million times. I've actually clicked it 4 times and it takes you to a page. So, I mean, I could share screen. Hey, you want? I'll share screen and show you. I'll show you right now. Okay. I will show you in real time. Ladies and gentlemen, I will show you exactly what it is. So tell me if you can see this, Susanna. I'm sharing my screen.
Yep.
So when you click it, it gets right like that. So here it is, YouTube. And when I click on the show notes, which is below it, boom, it gets right there. So nothing paid. It's just, it's right there. And it's the same thing. If I click it, here's my chat on Restream right here that I see all your comments. I click it and boom. So anyway, no, we're not charging for this at all. Completely free. And we got you done in less than 2 hours. So thanks, Susanna. I hope to talk to you soon. And I'm not really going to wish you happy Thanksgiving because you've already had yours, but I wish you a wonderful,
Thanksgiving.
I wish you a wonderful meal and take lots of pictures and let me know how your family likes it.
I will. Thank you. Thank you everyone for being here.
Oh, yes. And thank you all for watching another episode of this special edition of Chef AJ and Friends, a Thanksgiving cook-along. Please come back the day after Thanksgiving at 9 a.m. Pacific time for Dr. Zach Burns with Dr. Michael Clapper of Moving Medicine Forward. And we'll be talking about the pharmaceutical industry. Take care, everyone.